We're back in Washington at the Students for Liberty conference. More than 1,000 students came here to advocate for a free society, economic freedom, personal freedom, and intellectual freedom. They're members of a group called Students for Liberty. It was founded 7 years ago by Alexander McCoben, and today Students for Liberty includes more than 1,300 groups around the world. Jorge Colindres started a group in Honduras. And Jorge, how did you find out about Students for Liberty?
Well, it all started in 2009 when my country went through a very deep crisis. And it was under those circumstances that I was trying to understand everything that was going on in my country that I started to get interested in political science and economic science. So
and you went to YouTube and you put in, how does the economy work?
That is right. I just got, how does the economy work? And I found Milton Friedman videos from LibertyPen and a lot of Learn Liberty videos from the Institute for Humane Studies.
Learn Liberty videos, they include things like 4-way economists think we're all wrong, why does 1% of history have 90% of the wealth, sexonomics, what not to do on Tinder, they vary them. And from this you learn that we know what makes a country prosper. They weren't doing it in Honduras.
That's right, they weren't doing it. I'm also a law student, so when I started to read the legislation of my country, I started to get what was wrong. And I thought it had to change. And there was nobody like presenting these ideas, the ideas of liberty that have actually a lot of evidence that the countries who implement these ideas get prosperity, peaceful coexistence, and the human dignity, which is what I think my country is.
And Alex, this is one country, 1,300 similar groups?
On all 6 inhabited continents. In fact, we're organizing more than 50 conferences like this one for over 10,000 students around the world this academic year alone.
And 10 years ago, none of this existed. There were college Republicans, Democrats. That was it.
Now things are very different. Students are able to learn about libertarianism through the internet, through their peers who have studied these ideas, and through events like this that were unavailable a decade ago.
Jorge, the Marxists tried to stop you from going to law school.
This happens, John, everywhere in Latin America. So there's a lot of Marxist student groups that usually take over the national universities as a means of protest. And when I say they take it over, they usually like get the students out of their classrooms, either by violence or by threat of violence.
They marched into your classes.
That's right. They marched into those classes and took the students out. There are several.
What, just told them get out, or physically removed them?
Both ways. Some people obeyed, some other didn't, and it got a little bit more violent.
But this time something different happened, because now you had a libertarian group who spoke up.
That is right. And we managed to rally over 200 students who bravely opposed the takeover and
saying, we want to go to class.
That's right. They started chanting at the assembly, we want to go to classes. And you could see the Marxist students wouldn't believe what was going on because they had never been opposed before.
And they also called you a terrorist on social media.
They were telling me I was a right-wing fascist. They were saying that I had threatened them with bombs.
Unfortunately, this kind of experience is becoming all too common for us to see in Students for Liberty. Last year in Venezuela, during the student protests against the Maduro regime, we took the threats against some of our student leaders so seriously, we helped evacuate them to a neighboring country to protect them. But more recently, we've seen Nazis break into Students for Liberty events in Serbia and assault some of our students to try and shut down conversations. We've seen our students arrested in the Gambia. We actually just learned about one of our students being beaten up by police in Ethiopia just a couple of weeks ago, simply for holding an event to discuss these ideas. But the inspiring thing is that students like Jorge and others aren't backing down in the face of these thugs. They're continuing on.
And fortunately, most of you are from America. You haven't had this happen. Do you have questions for Alexander or Jorge? Come up to the microphone.
John Hernandez. I'm from Bristol, Virginia. I go to the University of Virginia. My question was for Jorge. I had a cousin recently, well, I guess not recently, last year, that was protesting in Venezuela and was put in jail. And I was curious, Jorge, what do you think the future for Central and South America is moving forward?
South America has the same resources we have, but it stayed poor when North America got rich. Do people have a sense that it was government that did that?
I don't think they did. All the history and the sociology teachers, they always give like a Marxist view of history and tell us how America became rich by exploiting Latin America, which makes no sense at all.
Hi, my name is Sally Jerica. I go to University of Waterloo in Canada, Ontario. I'd just like to know what was going through your mind when you were taken hostage.
Of course, we were a little afraid, but we actually had more support than we thought we had. But when the chanting started, when all of the students started chanting, "We want classes," then that's when I found out how broad our support was, and I saw how they were probably even more afraid than we were. A week later, when they tried to take over the university again, for security reasons, SFL Honduras decided not to participate, but the students from UNAVS, the state university, they stood up by themselves and didn't let the Marxist students take their university.
Hi, my name is Jack Gordon. I'm from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, but I attend the University of Iowa. What's it going to take to get the momentum we need to start a real revolution in this country?
It's going to take you and everyone else in this room to take personal responsibility for making this country a freer place. Joining SFL leadership programs, organizing more events like this, making liberty one of your life projects, and then changing society to support freedom more broadly. Remember what Jorge said. There were more people who supported the anti-shutdown movement than people who supported it. There are people who supported the shutdown. It's the same case with what you're doing. There are more people who agree with the principles of liberty and support our ideas than we really know.